Welcome back in to another episode of The Neutral Zone here on Sports Radio. We are nearly to the All-Star break. We've just about made it. We are a little more than halfway through the season. We reviewed the Western Conference. Now it's the Eastern Conference's turn. What do we think is real out east? What do we think is maybe a bit of a mirage? Do we think that Boston is actually going to do it this time? Or maybe it's the Rangers' turn? I don't know. Maybe the Maple Leafs are finally going to figure it out. We will discuss, we will dissect, plus some other news and notes from around the NHL world. And then when all that is done, we know that minor league teams have to sometimes just do whatever they can to attract attention. But one particular American Hockey League team decided to embrace an alternative reality that I don't know that they really should have let us know about this one. All that plus more coming up right now in the Neutral Zone. So buckle it on up, protect the 5-hole, shoot the puck. Let's go. And hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome back into another episode of The Neutral Zone. Adam Karnick, Zach Puplis along with you as we are ready to dive into the Eastern Conference this week and figure out what we like and what we don't with those teams out east. How are you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm good. How are you, Adam?
I'm hanging in there. It's a bit of a long day, but now I'm ready to relax a little bit and talk some hockey.
Woo! Me too.
Not a whole lot of games going on across the league. Everybody's kind of wrapping up, winding down, getting ready for their all-star break. Just the 2 games in action tonight. We've got the Columbus Blue Jackets down in St. Louis taking on the Blues. And then later tonight, we have the Seattle Kraken taking on what passes for the San Jose Sharks right now.
Sad shark noises.
Yes, I chomp, chomp, womp, womp. I'm not sure.
Ooh, we could make instead of baby shark, it could be sad shark or something.
Oh, sad shark, do.
Sad shark, do.
Yeah, except you got to do that a lot more, sympathetically.
Somber, melancholy.
Exactly.
I got you.
Well, they are kind of baby sharks this year. They are kind of a young roster that just isn't any good. But the Sharks are out west. We talked about the Western Conference a couple weeks ago. It's time for the Eastern Conference's turn as we get going here. So Zach, I know you've got a division that is near and dear to your heart because those Detroit Red Wings live in it. What are your thoughts about the Atlantic Division as we welcome into the chat room Jen B and Ralph Calise tonight into the show? Two hosts that have teams out east, and so they're definitely going to be interested, especially when we start diving into the Metro Division here in a little bit. But let's start with the Atlantic. What are your thoughts of this division as a whole as your Red Wings are trying desperately to stay relevant in it?
For sure, yeah, I'm with you. You kind of mentioned Boston in the open. They are tied with Vancouver for the league lead right now. It's kind of a repeat of last year. I mean, at least for Boston's sake, we probably could have expected that going into the season, that they might be right up there again. They're hoping for a happier ending this time, for sure. We didn't. There definitely can't be said that we were expecting that for Vancouver. That's for sure. They have definitely come out of nowhere Vancouver has
Yeah.
this year.
But yeah, Boston for me, it's after that first round exit a year ago against Florida, which right now they would be avoiding Florida as things sit right now. Florida, is the next team in the division, but I'm nervous for Boston right now. It's
Sure.
all right. We've seen this from you before. We saw this last season. Now
Yeah.
I need you to impress. You impressed me last season by doing so well in the first half, but now you need to impress me in the playoffs. Do you think they can do that this year, or are they in for a rude surprise again?
I think they can do it. I think they have enough people back that would remember last year and be able to say, okay, guys, we need to do whatever it takes to have that not happen again. They're sitting at 31-9-9 this year with 71 points. Um, what they need to do is they need to channel Tampa Bay from a couple years back. The year before they won that first cup of theirs, they got ousted in the first round as well. So they just need to look at Tampa Bay. There's a prime example right there for them that they were, one of the maybe they were even the President's Cup winner too that year. Tampa Bay was, and they got ousted in the first round. Very next year, came back, turned it all the way around, and won the cup, won the whole shebang. So they have a really good blueprint right there for how to turn things around this year and how to win it all.
So yeah, it's certainly doable. It's just I'm very nervous and apprehensive for them. Now they've been scoring like there's absolutely no tomorrow. The beat the Flyers 6-2 here recently, 9-4 over the Canadians about 10 days ago, 5-2 over the unless you think okay they're just beating up on some lesser teams. They handled the Avalanche 5-2, a couple of weeks ago. So they definitely are able to score at 7-3 against the Lightning, 4-1 against the Blue Jackets. Scoring has not been an issue for this team, and frankly, giving up goals hasn't been an issue for this team. You look at them right now. Their goal differential is plus 45. That's absolutely gonna play. That's gonna get you places. That is best in the Eastern Conference. It is, I believe, and it's second best in the entire NHL, only behind those Vancouver Canucks. So there's not obvious weaknesses right now with Boston.
Yeah, I'll go along with that.
So, but as we mentioned, and Jen pointing out, come on now, everyone scores 4 against the Blue Jackets.
I was trying to do the whole division from memory, and that was one that kind of threw me up. I was like, hang on, is Columbus in this division, or are they in the other division? Ooh.
Nope. They're the Metro.
And the only other one that threw me off was Pittsburgh. I thought Pittsburgh was in this one, but
nope. But as we mentioned, Boston got surprised last year by the Florida Panthers. They can't get surprised. As it sits right now, they couldn't get surprised by Florida in the first round because Florida is currently sitting at second. 31-14-4 overall, the defending Eastern Conference champions. What are your thoughts on the Panthers to this point?
Sure. 66 points. They exacted revenge on the defending champs, Vegas. Can they make another deep postseason run again? Let's see. They got Bobrovsky. I mean, so I think they got some good goaltending back. Definitely with Matthew Tkachuk, a powerhouse there. We talked last week or 2 weeks ago how they won that trade definitely outright over Calgary. I have a feeling they can make another deep run.
Yeah. But it's not just Kachuk over there. I mean, he's not even actually their leading scorer right now. Sam Reinert is pacing them with 62 points. Kachuk's got 51. So they are getting some other players stepping up as well. It's not just the Matthew Kachuk show.
Well, and that's probably actually what they need, because having an extra player in there that can get the goals and shots and everything, and one more player that everyone else will have to defend. Yeah.
Yep. And Alexander Barkov doing well, kind of navigating and leading the charge, leading the team with 37 assists right now as well. So they are getting play from a lot of different places. It's not just Matthew Kachuk. Oliver Ekman-Larsson giving them some solid offense from the blue line, 25 points in 49 games for the D-man there. So they're getting some good things all around right now too.
Yeah, they had a 9-game winning streak around just after Christmas till January 11th, looks like, and multiple games they scored 4 points. It started off with that revenge game against Vegas, but against Montreal, 4-1. Against Arizona, 4-1. Vegas again, 4-1. It seemed like almost like Groundhog Day a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, and even add to it, this game was closer, but the game before Montreal, they had the Rangers 4-3 as well.
Yep, a lot of 4-goal nights there for the Panthers, and I appreciate you not bringing up what they've done against the Blackhawks, because nobody needs to see those numbers.
Well, now you got me curious.
Oh, nope. We're saving that for the break. It does not look good. We'll just leave it at that. Next,
look over here. There's nothing to see.
Exactly.
Pay
no attention to that man behind the curtain.
Well, the game against Colorado, we were talking about high score, barn burners, 8-4. My goodness.
Yeah, exactly.
And right now they're in the midst of another good winning streak. They got 4 in a row right now. Nashville 4-1. Again, the 4-goaler beat Arizona 6-2. Talk about a blowout. And then Pittsburgh 3-2 in a shootout, and New York Islanders 3-2 in overtime.
Yep. They've won their last 4. They've got 14 points in their last 10 games. They're playing well. They're playing. Larry B just checked in. We're officially rechristening this to Hip Check Tuesdays.
I love it.
Larry, by chance, did now? Larry's got a birthday coming up. It's later this week. He's a little younger than you and Isaac, but I think this is still appropriate. Larry, by chance, did you ever play an original Nintendo, the old 8-bit, and specifically Blades of Steel for the original NES? I'm curious, Larry, if you ever got a chance to play that game. As we move on, we're going to stay in the state of Florida. Next up in the Atlantic Division, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, the Lightning, little bit of a slow start. They had some injuries that they had to overcome, and they've played the most games in the division to this point. They've got 50 games under their belt, but they are solid. They are in third place, a little bit distance behind the Panthers, trying to fend off some of the other teams. What are your thoughts on the Bolts right now?
Just 3 days ago, it looks like defenseman Victor Hedman reached 700 career points as they beat the Devils 6-3. Of course, Braden Point is always
no point
right as rain. I mean, super consistent. Can they finish strong? Can they make another run at a third cup in 5 years?
Yeah, talk about consistency here with the Lightning. You look at their last 3 games. 6-3, 6-3, 6-3.
Oh my gosh!
That is consistency.
Yeah. Well, and the only they had a good. Gosh, they've won since January 9th. They've won 8 of 9. The only one they lost to my Red Wings. What up?
I see that there. I was wondering if you were going to notice that.
Right. But yeah, I mean that's a huge. They've been doing a really good job with that ever since. Well, pretty much ever since the new year.
And of
Couple
course,
overtime ones against LA and New Jersey in there as well.
the Lightning, it's Nikita Kucherov. 85
Oh.
points through 49 games.
Oh my goodness. That's
wild.
wild.
We're going to talk about Austin Matthews in a minute here for Toronto. Kucherov's not exactly a whole heck of a lot behind him. He's got 32 goals already.
Yeah. Yeah, he is just a machine.
He's you know that you're always going to get solid effort out of Mr. Kucherov there. So, but goaltending was a concern for this team at the beginning, and for me, it's still a concern for these guys. Their two goalies right now are basically, I mean, okay, Tompkins is on the roster, but 3 games. That's not enough to go off of. But Vasilevsky and Johansson, they're both basically interchangeable right now. Neither one of them is saving the puck at a very high rate. They're both sub 90. Vasilevsky is 899. Johansson is 894. They're both giving now. Vasilevsky is giving up less than 3 goals a game. Johansson's giving up 3 3.25 goals a game every night. The defense is working very hard in front of these guys to make sure they don't see a lot of shots. That does concern me for Tampa Bay going forward as they try to push for the playoffs, and I would expect them to make the playoffs, but that's a concern for me with Tampa Bay is their lack of high-end elite goaltending right now.
Yeah, even with Vasilevsky back, is he just not like 100% still?
He's knocking off some rust, I imagine, just getting started. We'll see if he's able to snap into form. His career numbers would make you think he can, but at the same time, you don't get a whole lot of time to. Yeah, it doesn't take much for it to unravel. I'll put it that way. So that's a concern for me for Tampa. And then I brought up Austin Matthews. Next up in the Atlantic is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just 1 point back of Tampa Bay, 25-14-8 through only 47 games played to this point. Not quite the fewest in the division, but they've got a lot of games in. They're not that far back of Tampa, and they've got several games in hand. This could be. They got out of the first round of the playoffs finally. Should we expect more from these guys as we get ready to get into crunch time here?
That's exactly the point I said. They're only one point behind Tampa Bay. They got 58 points. If the playoffs started today, they would be a wild card. Again, after they got out of the first round last year. Finally, I have with an exclamation point next to it.
Finally.
Yeah, that for them to be a wild card, that seems like they're trending downward, I guess, from where they were last year, getting that win in the first round. They've got NHL leading 4th goal for Austin Matthews to reach 600 points as the Leafs beat the Jets the other night 4-2. So I mean that's huge. They got Mitch Marner and William Nylander too. I guess look for them to take the next step in the playoffs then.
Yeah. I see that they've got 3 games in hand on Tampa. They've got 3 more games to play. They've got 3 more opportunities to get more points.
Sure.
I'm encouraged. If I'm a Toronto fan, I'm encouraged. You're seeing the good things that you're used to seeing. My concern for them remains Similar though with Tampa Bay, it's the goal playing in front of them. Now, Martin Jones is playing fairly well, only giving up 2.64 goals per time out there. His save percentage is just slightly over 91%, but he's only got 17 starts. Samsonov is still the guy who's getting the bulk of the starts, and his save percentage has been horrible, 878, and he's giving up 3.36 goals a night when he's out there. So Ilya Samsonov, I would expect to see a lot more of Martin Jones as we get into the second half of the season here. But that's going to be a significant, that's going to mean a significant amount of ice time for the 34-year-old. How is he going to hold up?
Yeah, that's a good point. What I'm seeing here is a lot of close losses to good teams. Vancouver 6-4, Colorado 5-3. They did beat Winnipeg home and away the last week. They beat Seattle in Seattle 3-1. Had a 4-game winning streak earlier in the year. They're on a 3-game streak right now. We'll see if they can keep it going against the Islanders next Monday.
Yep, they've got the quick turnaround out of the All-Star break too. They have the All-Star break and then they immediately turn around on Monday and all right, we're back at it.
Right, Monday and Wednesday.
Yep, back at it.
Ooh, Wednesday they have Dallas.
That'll be a good one.
Luckily, it's at home, but yeah.
That'll be a good one.
Oh yeah,
that'll be a strong one. All right, and then next up, there's a team you're very familiar with, the Red Spoke Wheels.
Yes, throwing up the wing. Woo! Again, if the playoffs started today, they'd be a wild card. So contrasting that with Toronto, I feel like that puts them on the upswing because they haven't made the playoffs in 8 years now. Dylan Larkin just scored his 200th career goal as the Red Wings beat defending champ Vegas. They are 95-2. They've kind of turned it around since New Year's Day. Looking at the schedule, they're 9-3 since then, losing only to Edmonton, Carolina, and Dallas. Kind of the same thing like we were talking with Toronto. That's 3 good losses, all good teams.
Yeah, let's face it. Everyone is losing to Edmonton.
Oh yeah. So if they can just keep that up, I mean, even you wouldn't have to be perfect, but I mean, keep up that trend. You'll just, as long as they can hold that same last wild card spot, I'd be happy if they just made it to the playoffs. They don't even have to win; just make it.
but some solid wins recently at home against Vegas, shutting out the Flyers, doubling up the Lightning last weekend. Some winning in overtime in Florida. Some solid play. Oh yeah, Jen B reminding us that the Detroit Red Wings played the Cleveland Cavaliers last week. That was an interesting matchup. I didn't see whether or not they played hockey or basketball, but either way, I expect that the Red Wings won.
Wait, I must have missed it.
It was Bally Sports was advertising that they were promoting the Cleveland Cavaliers game that night, and they were hosting the Pistons. Someone at Bally Sports screwed all the way up and threw up the logo for the Red Wings instead of the Pistons.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, to be fair, the Red Wings probably would play basketball better than the Pistons, but...
Right. With all the, prior to Sunday, with all the Lions hysteria, I'm surprised they didn't put the Lions on there.
Hey, the Lions would definitely play basketball better than the Pistons. I mean, that's just, that's a whole other can of worms there. But yeah, apparently the oh yeah, and the Cavs at the time too were in Milwaukee, so just to really make it all the more that somebody screwed up.
Wait, what do you mean they were in Milwaukee?
They were in the Cleveland Cavaliers, according to Bally Sports, were slated to play the Detroit Red Wings in Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee. Oh. It's one of those neutral site games,
Right, exactly.
Neutral sport games, too.
I mean, the Admirals play hockey in Milwaukee, so I'm sure that, somehow there's a connection there.
Yeah, like Michigan Admirals by us. That's a basketball team. So, yeah.
Oh, my God. I'd forgotten about that team. Oh, my God. That is going down a very, 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 very deep rabbit hole for which we absolutely do not have time. Come up back around to that one later.
No, but I had not heard about that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah. The joys of why it's important to double check your work, kids.
Yeah.
So before we move on with this division, real quick, I just want to point out that we've just talked about the top 5 teams in the Atlantic. All 5 of those teams have positive goal differentials. That is impressive to me. This is a deep division as a result here. Now, however, we're diving into the rest of the division, and it's not quite so strong. Buffalo.
Yep, they're 6th right now, 22, 23, and 4, so about 500. And they have 48 points. We are in the post-Jack Eichel era. So you got your boy Tage Thompson, Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, and more stepping up. So, I mean, I don't know. Hopes for them, I guess, just to try to stay around 500.
At this point, yeah, it feels to me like a very lost season for Buffalo. I was expecting a little bit more out of them this season, and it's a deep division, but I'm disappointed in Buffalo.
Yeah, well, and we talked about this being a deep division a couple years ago too, like when Montreal made the final, and just try to see if they were going to be able to do it again the following year. When it went back to, because the year they made it was when they had the Canadian division for COVID. So when it was going back to a normal division, we said, oh, again, it's a deep division. That's going to be a tough climb for them to get back. And again, they were absolutely right. They haven't made it back ever since. And so now, Buffalo's facing the same thing. Deep division, tough climb.
Yeah. You brought up the Canadian division from one time. Let's stay in Canada then for these last 2 teams, Montreal and Ottawa.
Yeah. Speaking of, in the very absolute bottom.
Yeah.
Woof. Yeah. Montreal 7th place, 20, 21, and 8, just under 500. They got 48 points on the season. Let's see here. Had a 4-game losing streak. Oh gosh, multiple 4-game losing streaks look like.
Yeah, in their last 10, they haven't been super strong either. Their last 10, they've only got 9 points total in their last 10.
Yeah,
4 regulation losses.
Multiple 3-game losing streaks even. Some of that's expected. Boston, for instance. Boston and Edmonton, Philadelphia, again, all those. But they've lost to Ottawa. They beat Colorado. That's kind of an outlier for sure. It was at home, though.
It was at home, and Colorado's been bitten by the injury bug a little bit, so that's accounted for some of it, but
gotcha.
And they lost to the Sharks. Montreal lost to the Sharks.
That's pretty pathetic. Yeah, exactly. 3-2 right there.
Ugh.
But they beat Dallas away 4-3. Oh my goodness! Like New Year's, just after New Year's.
Yeah,
that's hard to believe.
The Montreal, when they've been winning close. When they've been losing, they're getting killed. 9-4 against Boston, 6-2 against Ottawa.
6-1 against Buffalo, even.
Yeah, 60. I was just trying to refine that one. Yeah, 6-1 against Buffalo. When they lose, it goes bad for Montreal. They don't do well when they lose.
5-1 against Florida back just after Thanksgiving. Ooh, they did have a close one against Vegas before Thanksgiving. 6-5 they lost.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nick Suzuki's having a decent season, 42 points on the year. You got Cole Caulfield has got 17 goals, but yeah, Ottawa's Montreal's they're struggling.
That sounds
overall.
about right. But Suzuki's about the only one I recognize, and so that he's the only bright spot does not surprise me one bit.
Yep. And then we've got the Ottawa Senators, and frankly, I think the less we say about them, the better the show will be.
Oh, hang on. Go back to Montreal real quick. Who's your Wi-Fi guy again?
What's that?
Your guy with the weird last name, Wi-Fi?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Is that him? XHEKAJ?
That's him.
Arbor Wi-Fi?
That's him.
Is that how you say that? I would have never guessed.
I had to do practice and reading and all those good things because it was definitely a huh?
That's a new one, yeah. Ottawa. The rest of the way, I'm with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, hang on. So Montreal, see that Carey Price is still on the roster. Is he playing at all or not?
No,
most of them I saw Montembeault, I guess.
Yes.
Is how you'd say his name.
Mm-hmm.
Or Primau.
Yeah, Carey Price, I believe, is on long-term injured reserve. Basically, he would get traded to somebody that needs to get some money to get themselves over the salary threshold. I don't think he's expected to play at all, if ever again in his career.
Wow, yeah, because just a couple of years ago, I think we were talking about how he was possibly going to be the next Marc-Andre Fleury because he was not protected in the expansion draft. Then it went into the whole injury reserve. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
That rings a bell now.
Jen's excited. There was a fight that broke out in St. Louis. We'll have to see who won. We went to a hockey game and a fight broke out.
Surprise.
Yeah. Gotta love when those pop up. End of 2 though in St. Louis, and no one has scored yet. Columbus 0, St. Louis 0. So,
oh man.
So, not a whole lot of offense in that game. Oh my goodness! As I take a quick peek at the scores, the two teams have combined to take 20 shots on net at the end of 2.
Whew.
Columbus has 11.
Oh, go ahead.
Columbus has 11. St. Louis has 9.
Instead of a pitcher's duel, it's a goalie duel.
Well, the goalies aren't doing anything though. They're not having to do anything. It's a defensive struggle, and I imagine if I go over and look at the team stats, we're going to see both teams with 6 giveaways at this point. Ugh.
Wow.
So, sloppy play.
Well, also, I could see why the fight would be breaking out with their frustrations of not being able to score bowling over.
Yeah. And Elvis Merzinglis may be dealing with injuries again as he's leaving the ice bent over. Not good. So, just what the Blue Jackets need, more injuries to go with the rest of that roster.
Right? Oh, my goodness.
So,
woof.
Well, real quick before we slam the door shut here in the Atlantic, and any team, obviously Boston is obviously the favorite at the moment. Do you see anybody surpassing Boston for this division?
Oh, at least not in the regular season.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree there one bit. I don't disagree with that. I do look for when we get into the postseason. I like the Panthers, and I'm curious to see if Toronto can take that next step. It's going to come down to the goaltending for me, but I would not be surprised at all if either Florida or Toronto makes a little bit of a run out of this either, along with Boston.
Right. Like I said, I'd be happy if Detroit just made the playoffs. Toronto, I think they need to take the next step. They got out of the first round this past year. If they can get out of the second round this year, it'd be good for them. I think maybe I think maybe Tampa Bay might make a run at a third cup in 5 years.
They'll need a little bit more out of their goaltending, but
I was going to say if Vasilevsky can get back into form.
Right,
Sorry.
exactly. Yep.
Forgot to add that part.
Yeah, a little important caveat there, but you're absolutely right. They've got the pedigree, absolutely. All right, we're going to take a quick little break, and then when we come back, we will dive very quickly through the Metropolitan Division and see what we can make of that division. You are listening to the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Right back after this.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph DeLeese, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports, and I will update you on all that's black and gold have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And, of course, this show, like all shows here on IE Sports Radio, are presented to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. They are the official sponsor also of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm. You can check them out at planetjerky.net. They offer free shipping on all orders of $50 and above. Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Adam and Zach back with you here for just about another 15 minutes or so here on this Tuesday night, right before the NHL All-Star break. We spent the first chunk of the show discussing the Atlantic Division. Now we want to get through the Metropolitan Division. We're going to start things off with the New York Rangers at top of the division. One of the things with this division as a whole, Zach, I feel like, with the Atlantic Division, it's much more cut and dry, that you know who the haves are and you know who the have-nots are, that it's pretty much, the top of the division is strong, the bottom of the division is weaker. That's not really the case, I feel like, with the Metropolitan. We've got the Rangers are on top right now with 63 points, and the Carolina Hurricanes right behind them at 61. But then there's a little bit of uncertainty to me looking at the Flyers and the Islanders, who are currently the next two teams in the division, but trail in the standings a bit. I am a big proponent of whatever the sport is. An easy way to tell, I feel anyway, of how legitimate somebody's record is by looking at their point differential. And yes, Philadelphia is currently third in the division, and the Islanders are currently fourth, which would put both of them in the playoff discussion. But both of them have negative goal differentials. Philly is a -1. All right, that's relatively easy to overcome. The Islanders are a -23 goal differential.
So, hang on, what that's saying is that the number of goals they score at home versus the number of goals they score away, Philadelphia is basically equal. Is that what it?
No. This is goals scored versus goals given up.
Given up. Okay, there we go. Here.
Yeah, much simpler. Yeah, much simpler than that. Even where it's just how many have you scored versus how many have you allowed, and both of these teams are upside down. And Philly, okay, you're basically even. The Islanders are way underwater for a team that is technically has a winning record. They've got 52 points in 49 games. Now, they did just fire their head coach. They've got Patrick Waugh now leading the team, and they're going to try to see if that can make a difference there on Long Island in Brooklyn. But still, you're talking they lost in overtime to the Panthers. They lost in regulation to the Canadiens. They lost in regulation to the Golden Knights. That's three more losses after Waugh comes on board and they beat the Stars in overtime. So it's still some frustrating things going on with the Islanders. That is a team, to me, as I look at this division, I would expect to see continue to fall, continue to drop a little bit. And then meanwhile, Pittsburgh's hanging out there 6th place in the division. They're currently 22-17-7. They're above 500 as far as hockey is concerned there. They've got more standings points than games played. But I would expect them to take a little bit of a bump here. They've got a positive goal differential there. They've scored 12 more than they've given up. I would expect to see Pittsburgh kind of move into the conversation. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see the Penguins bump up maybe even as high as third on this in this division. Sidney Crosby is still playing well even at age 36. He's not showing signs of slowing down that significantly. Gunsel is playing well. Malkin is still being a contributor. They're getting solid offense too from the blue line, from their defense. Carlson and Letang both contributing there. Lots of assists there. Carlson is tied with Gunsel for the lead in assists on the team, and Letang's right behind him, just one assist behind him right now. So they're still getting good contributions from multiple places, and their goaltending is playing excellent right now. Jari's got a save percentage above 91%. He's playing well, and then Alex, I always get his last name so terribly wrong. Nedeljkovic is playing really well when he's had to step in.
The former Red Wing.
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to remember. Nedeljkovic, I think.
Nedeljkovic, thank you. Yeah, Nedeljkovic is playing really well when having to step in. Jari's obviously getting the bulk of the starts, but I am very encouraged by what I'm seeing from Pittsburgh. I would expect completely for the Penguins to take a jump there. And then the rest of the division, New Jersey, Washington, Columbus, I don't see those teams really getting far out of where they are right now. I think they're kind of positioned and stationed close to where they're going to be. For Columbus, this is a rebounding year. This is a, you're getting young, you're trying to get experience. Adam Fantilli has been remarkable and wonderful for them as a rookie. Unfortunately, he's out right now. Similar situation with Connor Bedard, where it's the broken jaw, out through the All-Star break. We'll see how he comes back, but he's been having a good rookie season overall. But they're very young. We'll see what. As Jen comments, yeah, it's a sad year for her to start following them. But the nice thing is, Jen, you're kind of getting in on the ground floor with Columbus. They're working on. I'm sorry, it's a sliced leg for Fantilli. Thank you. I was getting my injuries confused. You're kind of getting in on the ground floor. They're building the foundation, and then, in theory anyway, it's going to go up for Columbus from here. And this division isn't as much of a meat grinder as, say, the Atlantic is in the division. Philly is inconsistent. The Islanders are. I don't trust their record. Their record to me is very, very much a mirage
suspect.
there. Yeah, very suspect. Exactly. Washington, yes, you've still got Ovechkin. You've still got the amazing things happening there with some of their stars who have been there for a long time, but they're getting older. They're not the same team that they were 4, 5, 6 years ago. They're not what they once were. The Hurricanes are getting a little older too. And Pittsburgh's solid, but Father Time is going to catch up to them a little bit. This is a good time to be getting in with Columbus. Is the easy way to put it.
Well, and you're absolutely right about this division being less of a meat grinder and less of a delineation between the good teams and the bad teams. I mean, you look at Philly all the way down to Washington, and you've got, what is that, 6 teams, 5 teams? 6 teams, all no, 5 teams, all within like 5 points of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely a log jam right there that, it wouldn't take much, much more effort, much more results to, be able to jump that ladder pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Just health obviously is a huge thing, and getting healthy, staying healthy, and then just getting in some more support for some of your young guys like Adam Fantilli. Getting that support net kind of built in there for the team overall, and hopefully you have guys like Merzlinkis stay healthy and maybe stay with the team and not get traded off to go to other places, get some consistency in net, and get just some more overall support. Have Johnny Gaudreau be what you thought you were acquiring when you got Johnny Gaudreau in the first place. Get some more of that help and get some of that in there with that team. But yeah, it's definitely the Metro. The Rangers and the Hurricanes right now are clearly the class of this division. The rest of it's up for grabs, and you know that at least one more team has to make the playoffs out of that division. So if you're Philly through, we'll keep New Jersey in there simply because right now they're only 5 points out. I think New Jersey's got to improve. But as you're heading into the All-Star break, if you're the Devils, why not us? You're only 5 points out. You know you've got to improve on some things. You've got to get better overall. But why not you? You're only 5 points out here.
Their goal differential is only -7. You compare that to the Islanders, like you said, or Washington or Columbus, -31 and 37 for those two. And then that jives with what Montreal had, we were looking at earlier, -39.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Boston, like last year, we looked at their points total, then they were far and away ahead of everybody else with their points. Well, that's the same way with their differential this year. They're +45. Next closest is +31 for Florida. And then, goodness, go back to the Pacific, Vancouver, with the year they're having, they're +59 in differential.
Mm-hmm.
Your poor Chicago's -72, but then you look at the Baby Sharks, -93. Whew.
Yeah, that
Wow.
was yeah. We're just gonna leave the Blackhawks alone on this. So overall, it's gonna be interesting to observe the Metro a little bit. Okay, real quick before we get out of here, I wanna very abruptly shift gears here. We all know, we heard our sponsor here at the network also is the official jerky of a minor league baseball team. We know that minor league sports teams sometimes have to do different things to keep fans entertained and keep them coming to games. The Grand Rapids Griffins, the AHL affiliate of the Detroit Red Wings, decided to have some fun this past weekend and acknowledge their roots a little bit when they had first started to become a team. They held a contest to, hey, what should this team be named? And obviously Griffins won out. I think it's an awesome name. I love the logo. It's a great hockey name, great team name overall. Well, apparently one of the runner-ups was the Flying Toasters. And the Griffins decided to live in the alternate reality of what could have been by wearing sweaters this past weekend that had the name and had the logo Flying Toasters on them. I have to say this was a very brave decision on their point. Because you look at this logo, it is literally a toaster with a couple of hockey pucks popping out of it and wings on the back of it. And the toaster looks like he's upset. I'm not sure why. Maybe converting pucks into toast is very physically painful. I'm not sure. Maybe just making toast in general is a very painful thing. Good move or bad? How are we ranking this one?
He's got to be mad. He's got to be, with a name like that, you got to have a fierce look on your face. Otherwise, people are just going to make fun of you.
This isn't a fierce look. This is like he was constipated and really had a hard time with it.
I was going to say that. That's funny. Yeah. Well, hey, look at the NBA. There's all kinds of different ways that they try to market their teams. They'll have whatever the city's known for, they'll put that on the jersey. Like instead of Detroit, it'll say Motor City, or they'll have the Spanish night. So instead of Bulls, it'll say, Toreadors or whatever. Or Latin night, I guess. In addition to the pros also tying it into whatever colleges are nearby. So you can get a dual branded hat. So, Tigers and MSU, Tigers and U of M, Tigers and Western, so on. So, but I'm with you. They got to kind of think outside the box oftentimes to try to get people in to fill the seats.
They also use the hashtag #FlyToastersFly for the game.
Well, hang on. I think it's the normal hashtags fly Griffins fly, so it's not that far off.
Yeah, that is their regular one. So,
okay.
Jen brings up in the chat, pucks are hard to get out of a toaster. Ask any toddler.
Now you got me thinking about the Pop-Tarts bowl.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Now, to be fair, they did win. They beat the Belleville Senators 6-4. So I guess there was some success with it.
As long as it's not a permanent change and they're doing it as a gimmick to try to draw people in, I'm completely okay with it.
Yes, they then auctioned off some of the jerseys for charity. This was not a permanent change by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I'm game. Let's do it.
All right, that does it for our show this evening, as we had to have a little bit of fun with the AHL teams in there a little bit. All right, woo! That was a lot to digest in the course of an hour.
Just look in the comments. You got so many people saying, "I want that jersey. I want that jersey. I want one of these."
hey, if people are going to buy it, who am I to stop commerce from happening?
Capitalism.
Exactly. Big shout out and thank you once again to our sponsor, Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. You can find them at planetjerky.net. They offer free shipping on all orders of $50 or above. You will not be disappointed. I have a couple of bags upstairs right now. They are delicious. Thank you also to Larry B., the hardworking czar of IE Sports Radio, being behind the scenes, keeping everything going. Thank you for those that hung out in the chat room with us tonight. Jen B., Taryn Rodriguez, Larry B., and Ralph Calise. Thank you all for hanging out with us in the chat room. We hope that we were, if maybe not educational, at least we were entertaining. And if we weren't entertaining, maybe you learned something. We hope. Next week, we will be breaking down the All-Star festivities, what we liked, what we didn't like, what weird things the NHL has tried this year and the district did to try to have the All-Star game, the thing that we care about. We will also get you ready for the second half of the season. We'll have a deep look at some college stuff, too. There were some excellent matchups this past weekend. There's some great ones coming up this weekend, including a top 20 matchup going on in South Bend. That will be very good to keep an eye on. So we'll keep you updated on the college scene as well as we'll dive back into the professional women's hockey a little bit, too. For Zach Pumplis, I am Adam Karnick. Together, we are the Neutral Zone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. We hope to see you next week. Until then, Be safe, be healthy, light the lamp, stay out of the penalty box, and as always, be sure to protect your 5-hole. We will see you next week.